Hey, Stace, how are you, my friend?
How are you, my dear?
How are we both doing today? This is episode 125.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a few changes.
Yeah, there's been a few changes. For those of you who may not know, my dad passed away last week. And I don't want to stick here for a long time because it's 6 days ago. But I did want to just say a few things about the process. People have always said to me, you're never prepared. And when you lose a parent, a piece of you dies. And I didn't understand that before. And I'm realizing now that every condolence I ever gave before this wasn't enough. It wasn't appropriate.
Right.
You think it is, you say all the right things, but I can tell you, for those of you who still have both parents living, the only way to prepare is to know that you're not prepared, especially if they die through the hospice setting. Going through those phases is an experience that I think we need to talk about more, just so we are better prepared, because it's a multifaceted experience. You step into this bubble, and I just wasn't prepared for it at all, and what that looked like. And the piece of you that dies, what I understand now about that is that there was a physical element to losing him, to witness him dying through that very slow process. It was 11 days. And I physically went through things that I'm happy to share with people, maybe one-on-one. Here is not the place for that. But the best way for me to honor my dad through the rocky bubble, I was very lucky. I had a great dad for a very long time. And a lot of people out there in the rocky bubble had dads that weren't so nice, or didn't have them for a long time. And that breaks my heart, because you have a beautiful dad. Jessica's father, the way she talks about her dad, like Jessica's dad, wherever you are, never doubt how Jessica feels about you, because she just talks about her dad in the most beautiful way. The way I feel about my dad, I wish I could pass out my dad to everybody who had a difficult father. It's so weird. I want everyone to have my dad. And it's a weird offering, but I want to be able to say to everybody, if you had a difficult dad who didn't show up, who didn't say nice things, who didn't treat you well, I would have you call me in a New York second to say, you know what, if I was lucky enough to have Norman as my dad, what would he have said? How would he have handled it? How would he encouraged me? Because every single child deserved the dad that I had. And I want to be able to help you rewrite maybe some of those very, very painful moments with a dad that wasn't so nice. And if for no other reason, just to maybe create some distance between you and that painful experience. Because when we have parents who are wounded people, we become like living wounds of their cruelty. And we carry that around with us. And then I think about my father and say, if they had had my dad, they wouldn't even have that. They wouldn't possess that experience. They wouldn't possess that pain. It wouldn't live in them. And if I can help you rewrite that moment with the way Norman would have handled it, I'm happy to do that. I don't know how else to honor him, but to share him and how he might have parented you, because I was lucky enough to not have those wounds. He literally did everything perfect for me. And then the last piece that I want to share is something that he shared with me years ago about making decisions about how you decide to pursue something or not. And he always told me, go out there and you try anything at all. And you may not be good at everything, but you will find something that you have a natural aptitude for. If that thing that you love most pays you, well, then you've hit the jackpot. Like Michael, with you've achieved the thing that you love most, and it gives you a living. You can put food on the table. You can make a living off of it. He goes, but we can't decide to take every pursuit based on whether or not it draws us a paycheck. He goes, if a paycheck is the only thing that you decide as the qualifying factor to pursue something, to go after something, he goes, then you've kind of let the world steal something from you. And he goes, sometimes you have to hang on to pursuits, whether they pay you or not, whether they allow you a living or not. He's like, so we have to live in the world. You got to find a job. You got to have a paycheck. He goes, but that thing that you love the most, whether it be painting, dancing, singing, whatever it is, pursue it anyway, whether it pays you or not, because it's going to pay you in other ways. And so we don't get paid here. You and I don't get paid doing this. This is a passion project, right? We don't.
That's true.
Okay. So I'm in the middle of him dying. And I finally come to the day when I'm like, okay, he's dying. This is happening. This isn't just him being exhausted for a few days. Like, he's dying. And so I made the post. I made that post of him, me holding his hand. And the response I got was so overwhelming. I heard from well over 100 people in many ways, through comments, through DMs, voicemails. And I just realized once again, he was right. I pursued this.
Right.
Because I love Rocky. You and I get along. I love the people that I've met. We don't get a dime.
Oh, we don't.
And what I got back in that first post paid me more than any paycheck ever could have. And I just looked at him and I said, right again, Dad. Right again.
How about that? How about that?
And I just want you to know that my dad is your dad. And I just cannot express to you enough your reach outs during that moment was this really cool moment that I lived in real time. A very important point of his, I lived in real time, and that was because of all of you. And if you have pain from your fathers, I am happy to rewrite that with what Norman might have done. And so just thank you to everyone. He was love and light and precious in every way, and everyone deserved him. And I just want to show off how cute he is here real quick. This right here, that picture right there just sends me. Here he is with Sarah.
Adorable.
Here we are at a father-daughter. You ready for this one? Here's my Marilyn moment. This is a prom. This is 1989.
Wow, look at that. You're on fire.
I was 16 there. But just precious. Here he is in the Rocky hat. I could show these all day.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah. So thank you to everybody. And just know that everyone can adopt my dad as their dad when needed. Just give me a call. And speaking of dads.
Yeah. Hey. So we had the opposite end. We had my dad's 80th birthday. Well, actually, the 20th is his birthday, February 20th. But the previous Saturday, we had to get together back home in Scranton. So we had a whole bunch of people there. It was a lot of fun. My brother and I gave speeches and videos, and it was really good. Dad had a great time. And yesterday was my mother's 79th birthday. So happy birthday, Dee. Happy belated. She had a great day. I think she had lunch with the mayor of Scranton, Mayor Cognetti. Yeah. So my mom is really, they're doing okay. They're doing okay.
I'm so happy that they're doing well. And please tell them happy birthday. And you know what? We should just do a belated birthday post. I don't know, even if we're late.
Well, they'll see it Thursday when they're watching. They'll see
Right.
the birthday. They'll probably be sitting in front of the TV all liquored up and just watching you.
Good.
No.
So, now you sent me this cool Contenders picture. Tell me about that. Let me pull that up. Go ahead.
All right. So, the Contenders brand is pretty phenomenal. They started off with these boxer shorts that are incredibly comfortable, and they branched out into so many types of pop culture references and T-shirts and socks and hats and coats and everything you can imagine.
Mhm.
But one of the things that they've really delved deeply into is the official licensing for Rocky.
Mhm.
And of course, that shirt on the card that you're showing right there is a shirt I happen to be wearing. But
Mm.
if you take notice of this card, it's 20% off, right? And if you just scan the QR code, you'll just above that, you'll notice it says, what does it say? It says contenders.com, the Yo Philly Film Tour. So anytime you chime in under this code, you get 20% off eternally. Always.
Really? Wow.
There's no code you have to you don't have to go in and then type in something else. You just
Mm.
follow this link, or you can go to the link in my bio on Instagram. Where it's a link tree. So you go to the link in bio, then you go to the link tree, and you will see Mike's Contenders link, and you just hit that, takes you right to it. And it just doesn't have to be Rocky stuff. It could be anything on their website. You get 20% off all the time. So check it out. I also hand out these cards on my tours to people who are big Rocky fans, because I think having a store like the Contenders, when I was a kid, I would have been broke all the time, because there's so many great things. And again, it's not just Rocky stuff that they have. They have a lot of great stuff. Check it out. And you can't go wrong. And I also thought, and I'll even go one more step on this. I thought the Sly Stallone shop should do stuff like this.
Yeah.
People who are, okay, I'm going to punch myself in the mouth after I say this, okay?
What?
I hate this term. It's cringeworthy, but it's accurate. All the influencers who are out there. Oh, God. I just want to hit myself, okay?
In the Rocky world, come on. You're like the top of the influencers, Michael. Please.
I think I have a place in that world, okay, as somewhat of an influencer.
For sure.
And I would love for the Sly Stallone shop to say, hey, why don't we do something like this? Here's a guy who's doing tours. The majority of people that take my tour have no idea the Sly Stallone shop exists. I talk about it on every single tour, every tour. And they're like, Sly Stallone shop, and they've heard of it. Now, yes, lots of fans have. But you got to remember, I see thousands of people all year long, and the majority, about 70%, don't know that this thing is a thing. And I'm thinking, how is that even possible? They have 10 times more followers than I have, but still. So I, myself, and other people like me in this Rocky bubble would be such a great megaphone for them, for darker corners that they don't reach.
Right.
And hopefully they'll see this and they'll think about it. I don't know. I think it's a great idea.
We can clip it out and we'll send it to them. See what they say.
We should. And Contenders is fantastic. They've got great clothes. Their fit is fantastic. It's durable. The colors don't run. It's just, I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, Stace, our guest today, I've had the privilege of bumping into him. I was doing a gig one time at the Man Music Center in Philly. I was just working the gate on a very hot September night, I think it was. They were showing Rocky with the live orchestra playing, and it was an incredible evening. And Jerry comes walking up to me with his son, and both of them are about 6'11". These are two of the largest. Like, I thought they look like leg breakers, right?
Yes.
Like, Jerry's a mountain.
Big guy. Yeah,
he's like a mountain. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we have a thing here called Patrick Media. They do all the billboards. And Jerry has this great story how Patrick Media hired him to walk around with a billboard on his back for advertising. This guy is so gigantic. Anyways, the thing I say about why I tease a little bit about that is because he's one of the kindest, gentlest guys I've come across. And I find that dynamic in human beings It's like the little Chihuahua who will corner the English Mastiff. Okay,
rip your face off, right?
Exactly. And just the give and take of that. So I've had some phone conversations with Jerry, and I think he's a lovely guy. But one of the things I found remarkable about him is his design technique, the way his mind works. Now, I will not rearrange my Rocky room for most people, but I wanted to bring these to the center. These are gifts that Jerry had given me out of his generous heart, his kind nature. And he wrote me a letter, but I'm going to read a part of this letter in a little bit. Is he here today? I'd like to talk with him. We should bring him in.
He is here. Hang on a second. Welcome, Jerry.
All right.
How
Hey,
are
guys.
you?
Doing good. Thank you. What an intro.
Listen,
hope I can live up to it.
You will. Trust me. There's no way you can't, man. You just be you and you're going to do fine. First of all, you're in your own Rocky room. I love that. What's your favorite piece that you have in your room?
Actually, one of them is my little statue down there that my son got for me a couple of years ago, which was just the fact that he did it and I didn't know he was doing it was just touched my heart. It was great.
Right.
But
Sweet.
I would have to say the piece that I have is probably not here at the moment because I actually have it at work. It's my Super Fight 2 poster that I designed, and Stallone and Carl Weathers both signed it. So I have that hanging up in my work. It both autographed. That is probably the most favorite thing that I own, because I just can't believe that just a regular guy like myself from no name town in Pennsylvania was able to get that. It's just a dream come true.
I know exactly what you mean by that, because when you have a passion like we do, everyone in this Rocky bubble has, and you're able to put together your artistic side and you're able to design concepts and items that should have, quite honestly, come out 30 years ago. These should have been out for fans. And when I came across your stuff, first of all, we should say your site, right? Movie Prop Popcorn.
Movie Popcorn.
Movie Popcorn.
That's
always get it wrong. You have the best stuff on there, and I've got them in back of me. I love it because the poster, it's not just an authentic image, but it's the addresses. It's the way it would have been figured back in the 70s. What was your, as Mickey would say, motivation to make these posters?
Well, it's kind of funny that I think, Stacy, somewhere back in yours, in your posters back there somewhere, I think in one of the earlier ones, I call it the yellow Rocky 2 poster. Like that little yellow one that has the two little figures on it.
Yeah.
I remember working way back at the Neshaminy Mall, believe it or not, when malls were, something. And this guy would come every once in a while with these boxes of movie posters, if you remember that, Mike, and you could look through them. You could ask, that's where you found movie posters. And my room was like a Rocky haven. I had Rocky posters everywhere. And that poster would always be there. And I just couldn't bring myself to buy that one because I wasn't really a huge fan of it, because I just felt, boy, the studio should have done like a better job. And that was in my head for 30 plus years. I just never did. I kept saying, oh man, someone should make a poster. So to that point, it was it was supposedly the fight poster, but I said, no one ever made a fight poster for Rocky. This is probably 2018. I think I made that. And my thoughts were that I'm going to make one, and I'm going to make it so as if you pulled open a box and you found it today, you'd pull it out and it'd be all distressed and it'd be crummy and wrinkled, but it would look like it existed in the movie and you found it. And to that point, I knew I wanted to make the authenticity of it, and I wanted to put the images, and I was like, well, they wouldn't have had images because they were rushing this fight, because he only had a little over 5 weeks by the time he agrees. Like we said, 6, but he's into 5. And they would probably have just taken maybe the images from the banners, because they had no time, put this poster together real cheap, like the old concert posters, and they just rush it out to the gym so people could put them up. And that's what I wanted to create in that first Rocky poster, because nobody did it.
Nobody did it.
And to your point, Mike, the studios, I felt, should have done it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And here's Sly with that. Tell us about that moment.
And that was pretty cool. That was from, I think Authentic Sonics did that. I was talking to them, and worked out some things with getting some posters and selling them posters, and then me paying to have, them shipped out there. And they would kind of work this thing where Sylvester Stallone would sign it. And to my shock, he personalized it, which I was completely blown away by. So that was when I saw that picture sent back that, hey, here he signed it. I was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe that this is happening. And I'm getting my poster that I designed signed by Sylvester Stallone, not just a poster, but mine. And that is what is incredible about that. That's something else.
Yeah.
And the Super Fight 2 poster is kind of funny, just Michael, on a point with that. I have number 1 here, and like you said, I had put all this bicentennial stuff all over because this takes place in the bicentennial.
Yeah.
So the Super Fight 2 poster, I also wanted to put bicentennial, icons and logos on it and make it red, white, and blue, because it still takes place in the bicentennial, the fight. And but it's kind of funny that in Rocky 2, there's not a shred of bicentennial anything, because they filmed it so much after the real bicentennial.
Yeah.
But that's why Rocky 2 Super Fight looks like that, and it has a logo in it, and it has that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that was my my thing there. It's really fun making these. I totally love it, and because I do design work for a living for my regular job, but sometimes you see stuff with the aforementioned yellow Rocky poster, and I just cannot get these out of my head that I have to do them. And that's how that first one came about. I just had to get it out of my head and do it.
I love that.
I love that. I loved your answer about, okay, first of all, I wish you were, I printed out your answers.
Oh,
okay.
boy.
This is like a beautiful book report that would have gotten you an A+.
Nice.
Had you submitted this in high school or something, because I read through this and your answers are just beautiful and heartfelt and so
thank you.
Sincere in everything that we all bring to the Rocky bubble, why we all love Rocky. It's just another beautiful example, but why you loved Rocky 2 as your favorite one. So tell us about that, because I loved that story.
It's sort of to my Rocky 1 to Rocky 2. When Rocky came out, I knew that I heard it was really good and I wanted to see it, but I kind of didn't know. It's sort of like when the Sixth Sense movie came out, if you remember that, everyone's said, oh, you gotta go see it. You've got to go see it. Everyone said the same about Rocky, but I wanted to, but it was the year after Jaws came out, and I was Jaws happy as like a little kid, a teenager. I was Jaws crazy. So my brother and I finally had the opportunity to go to the movies, and next to it was playing Orca, the killer whale. So my brother and I go to see Orca, the killer whale, instead of this horrible movie, instead of Rocky. And we just never saw it. So I never saw it until I was, I think, a freshman in high school. And we got out of it. Was like, I think maybe near exams. And for some reason, somehow our school had gotten the movie and was showing it on the black and white color TVs up in the corner. And I had to wait for a bus for like an hour and a half. And I said, oh, that Rocky movie's on there. So I sat in a classroom by myself and watched it on a little teeny black and white TV 30 feet away from me up in the ceiling. And I could not believe that I did not see this movie. And that, sitting in that classroom, I can't remember anything from, forever. But that moment is etched in my mind as the moment that I became a Rocky maniac in the classroom by myself, watching that little black and white TV. I couldn't believe that I didn't see this. So when Rocky 2 came out, this is back in the day when I was going to see that, when you could sit in the theater and kind of slouch down the chair and see it over and over and over again. I did that with my friends. We saw it.
I love that.
Sat down, slunk. Here comes the second showing. Up you pop, and you're I'm in here. So, but there's been sequels, but never in my life had I seen a direct sequel like that. And sitting in that theater when those gigantic yellow letters scrolled across, I had never seen anything like that in my life ever. And then that music swells up to that high pitch, and then that fight starts. I could not get enough of that and was completely blown away. And that Rocky 2, I'm probably jumping ahead to a question, but that is my absolute favorite Rocky. Bar none, that's my favorite one. I love them all, but that's because of that experience, I think.
Right.
We share something with the foot novel. That yellow foot novel, the Rocky 1, Rocky 2 foot novel. Yes. That's the very first thing I collected from Rocky.
There you go.
This got me started on my journey to where I'm at now in everything. It was remarkable. I bought it at Ray and Derek. I don't know if you remember the old Ray and Derek's. It was like a CVS back in the 70s. Scranton had a bunch of them. Anyways, we were on our way to Gooseboro. It was a park up in the Scranton area. And so on the way, we stopped to get some refreshments in the morning, and this was there, and I picked it up. I never put that book down. And it was one of the key pieces that I used when I first drove around Philly trying to find these sites along with some Polaroids. And this book, this foot novel, is just something that, do you have your original one from when you were a kid, or did you get a, okay, yeah, me too.
I still have that.
Yeah.
I didn't bring that. I don't have that with me, but I do have that one.
As long as you have it in your collection.
Ready.
Those, Jerry, isn't it the
up.
truth? Yeah, fans, you've got to pick up these novelizations.
They're really good.
These are a lot of things that were in the original scripts that never made it to the movie. They are fascinating. And I believe Rocky 2 is told from first point of view.
Yes. Yeah, which was unusual too. That book.
Very.
It's all I remember sitting. He's like, I remember sitting on that stool thinking my heart was going to crack out of my chest. And it's just his. It's very weird. It's very strange.
It's a very, very unique thing. And it also, we learn the origins of what happened to Gazzo in, I believe, the Rocky IV novel.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a scene where I think I mentioned this before, where Gazzo, when Rocky's driving and he's driving down South Street in the Lamborghini, and he, of course, No Easy Way Out's playing. But in the book, he references a newspaper clipping of Gazzo getting shot in the head in the Cadillac and Buddy the driver getting shot twice in the head in the Cadillac. Yes. So, and you know that, like, that was the only way out for those two guys.
Oh, you know.
That was
you know.
That was it.
So did you want to talk about this?
So that was something that I was Jaws happy too, and I still am. Like, that's another of my two favorite movies.
Oh, me
franchises. Too. So way back, I'd seen someone make like a little horrible Jaws coloring book, and I decided to do the same thing maybe 6 years ago. And then you kind of wait for someone to do something like that, but nobody ever made this. And I constantly say to my wife, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to try and make a Rocky coloring book. And she's like, okay, go ahead. So I'm like, okay. So I just did these. I found the images I wanted to reference to. That's my daughter's hand coloring for me, being my action model.
Beautiful. Wow.
Made these and just I just had to get it out of my head and just see if people were interested in it and would like something that I just feel that should have been kind of made by the studio. I just can't believe that these things aren't made. And I'm like, well, it's up to me to make them. So,
right.
In a strange way. But yeah, that took a lot, because I knew I wanted to not make it a couple pictures. So there's 32 different pictures in there, and then it's kind of picking, what do I put in, which ones do I pick? And I just have, maybe not the most action-packed picks, all of them, but I just found that the most interesting images that I felt, I love the Rocky II commercial pictures. I love Paulie with the robot pictures, and I wanted to throw some Rocky V in there, because I don't think Rocky V gets enough love as it should.
I like how it's a way to be introducing. It's two things. It's a way to introduce young people to Rocky, but it's also a way to get them off their devices and do something that we did as a kid. Like, here's this thing called a crayon, and here's paper. And, we didn't have an iPad to entertain us, sort of get them into some throwback sort of activities and teaching them something. Yeah.
It is so relaxing to color too. It is something just doing that action. It's just you're away. Nothing's on your mind except just getting lost in doing that. It's actually quite relaxing.
And I think that's the biggest frustrating part, because, Jerry, you're not becoming a millionaire from doing this stuff. You do this largely to give back to the fan community.
Pretty much.
I know that. Yeah. It's a big part of you. And I think you have such a great niche in that area, because I can't get enough of your stuff, for one.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks. I appreciate it. And like I said, every time that I just was like, I did the Rocky 2, then I'm like, well, maybe I'll do a Rocky 3 poster that nobody ever made. And again, these are fight posters. The fight posters that would have existed in the Rocky universe at Coliseums. Not just like, here's Rocky and, Mr. T, but here's the fight poster at the different arenas. So that's
your Rocky 3, Rocky 4 is a little more slick, because by then in real life, Rocky 3, the champion would be slicker.
Correct.
There would be a whole machine behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's so different from the earlier ones because he was just as I'm going, just printing techniques from the 70s to the 80s would change, and they would just look design would change, and they would look different. And I kind of was researching 80s looking posters and this and that to try and get that kind of different feel to them. Then so if you put all four out, they look vastly different because they should.
Right. Yeah. You want to match the time and the style and the vibe of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how
I love another answer I loved from you is, we're not all boxers in a ring, but we can be the best at whatever we do in life for our careers. And I know that this is, the way Mike has answered that question exactly. You may not be in the ring, but you can be the best designer that you can be, or the best nurse that you can be, or the best teacher that you can be. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that answer, because my question is how has Rocky influenced a decision in your life? And you were like, you know what? There's not just one thing. It's influenced many things. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that answer, because it was sort of encapsulated. I don't know. I like the way you answered it. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see. I hope I can remember. But I think I was watching, honest to God, like the Mike Douglas show or something like that when he was first promoting Rocky, and he was talking about it. I think he was wearing his leisure suit and whatnot, and he said, Rocky is not about being the best boxer. It's about being, his almost exact words were, the best butcher, the best plumber, just the best that you can be. Everyone can wake up and be Rocky, and no matter what you're doing. And that's kind of, I took that to heart, and just doing things. And it's just, I said, I want to try in my, going forward with my design career. I said, let me just try to be the best, not only to design, but be the best person, be the person who comes in first, the person that people want to work with, the person that everybody can depend on. Just be that person, be the best. So when people mention you, they're like, that guy is, that's a good guy. He'll do it. He'll get it done.
Yep.
And just be the best that you can be. And I think that also Rocky is there to inspire us, because I think people need to be inspired by something to, I'm not saying it's dependent on it, but just something that makes you glad to wake up, whether it's your art or your family or your job or something, but something that just gives you that drive. And I just think that the Rocky spirit or attitude of be the best that you can be is that drive. And that's kind of what I feel I take away from the movies is, besides the tremendous enjoyment, but just that positive can-do attitude, which is reflected in just these things that I do.
Right.
I think something Stacy and I have always talked about, something I preach all the time, is that humans function better when we have purpose, when we have a reason. Like, okay, we have, and I don't mean children or spouses or partners, because that kind of goes into it. That's always there. Sure. I mean your own personal purpose. Because if you have a job that you go to and it's mind numbing, it just sucks your soul, right? There's no purpose. You got to have that extra feeling of being alive. And for us, this Rocky stuff kind of captures that. But a lot of people, they don't have that. People in my family, like all throughout my family, extended family, and I always try to get through to them. If you find something that you love, a passion. Stacy was just talking about it earlier, something about that her dad had said to her. Try to find something that you love, and if you can get a few bucks at it, go do it. But don't measure it through money. And this is, I think, why I find such a kindred soul in yourself, Jerry, because I do see that in you as well.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And I agree totally.
Yeah.
When we ask about the favorite quote, and it's powerful for everybody. It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit. Is probably the most common answer that we get for good reason, obviously. But you had answered, Yo, Adrian, I did it from Rocky 2. And why is that one? Why does that quote mean the most to you?
It's that whole thing he says at the end. Again, I think that when I saw Rocky 2, I loved it. I mean, I loved it. But later in life, and again, when my kids were born, my whole, I think I had an actual physical epiphany that my attitude on everything changed, and they like everyone's kids who has them, they mean the world to me. So now when I'd watch Rocky 2, when he holds it up and the belt up and says, when he's talking and says, except for my kids being born, this is the greatest night in the history of my life. Then he says, I did it. I did what you wanted. But even that, besides my kids being born, this is the greatest night in the history of my life. And that resonates with me because everything else that I do doesn't matter besides my kids. It just that line has stuck with me and just sticks with me forever. I think it's just fantastic that he just puts himself, his family, and everything ahead of everything.
Yeah.
And everything he really wanted. But it's just that when he said that, I was just like, wow, the writing. It's just who writes that? It's phenomenal.
Right. Yeah, it's so funny. The most Rocky thing that my dad ever was how he took care of his family in every way. He was the guy that you could always rely on, whether it was you needed help building the deck or moving or he was the guy. He was the one who always showed up.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. This picture of you and Sly. What a big day for you. Take a look at this. Yeah.
The ride home after that picture was, I could not believe that this had happened in my life, because this was something, that picture there, I'm sure to anybody who has met, like, I know, Mike, you've met Sylvester Stallone, and you're probably the first time was just blown away by it. But I literally driving home was, giddy is not even the word. I just could not believe that I did this. That this nobody from my stupid, my little town who loves Rocky for 50 years. And here I am meeting him. And it's kind of funny because I know we talk about, I want to watch the podcast and it says, hey, what would you ask when you have your 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Well, I had 10 seconds and it was, and I'm like, waiting like, what can I say? Okay, what am I going to say? I know it was, hi, great to meet you. Thank you. Okay, goodbye.
So like, boom. It's over.
That was it. That was my big speech.
I know. It's tough it's tough in those moments because you've got so much going on, and it's a little tense. It's borderline intimidating.
Yes.
But I know exactly how you felt. I remember the first time I met him at the book signing in the 90s when he was doing not in the 90s. That was in Copland in early 2000s when he did Sly Moves. And I met him at Radio City Music Hall at the Barnes & Noble. And after I walked out with getting 4 books signed, I started crying against the big cement planter and I started shaking and I got real pale. I couldn't believe.
Right.
I get it, Jerry. I get it.
I'm not going to be any better.
I literally was having, when I was going up, I honest to God was having tunnel vision as I walked up. I was like, just don't pass out. But it really was. I had no idea what was going on around me. I know
that's it.
There could have been anything happening. I had no
Meteorites could have been falling. Demons from hell could have come through the ground. Wouldn't have mattered. The statue could have come to life in back of you and started swinging violently, and it wouldn't have mattered. It's like, can we just get the picture? We'll move in a minute, but picture, please.
It's the truth.
I know.
It's the truth.
I love pictures we've never seen before, and you had some unique pictures here. Tell us about this moment.
That picture was when they were dedicating the statue after around Rocky 3. They were going to go inside. It was they had a bunch of officials there, but then Sylvester Stallone, Talia Shire, and Mr. T was there, and his wife Sasha was also there, and they did make this dedication ceremony with the mayor. Then they all went inside to watch a private screening of Rocky 3, which was, not for us. We just left. They're like, so long. So it was kind of cool. I was like, a little bit far, but I got some good pictures of them. But when I left,
solid.
It's funny, Mike, because I left and I'm walking down and I said, oh, I didn't take a picture of the statue. So I just turned around and took a picture. Then we just went off our merry way. I'm like, it'll. Why do I have to take a picture of the Washington Monument? It'll be here forever. And and then they took it, and then I was like, oh my God. And then when I look at that picture that I have of the statue itself, I curse myself because I go, oh, there's like an old lady walking through it, there's people. I'm like, why didn't you take a better picture? So
you don't think?
That's a great story though. It really is, because it's got such a huge part in your life, the statue, the movie series and everything. And here it has it's just a funny story because it's ironic that you didn't get, but now the statue being where it is, you go back and see it, and you must have seen it when it was at the Spectrum a bunch of times.
Yeah, I went down there too, but it just wasn't, it was weird to say it was just a statue out there. It was just like, it was cool, but it was fine, but I just didn't really, get it down there.
Jerry, you and one of my friends, Trish, has taken maybe 2 of the best photos of the statue back in December when Sly brought it up for Rocky Week.
Is that Trish posts again?
Yeah, Trish.
Yes.
Trish posts. I loved her picture, but was yours at night or early in the morning? Night. Yeah. I just thought your picture was absolutely brilliant.
But yeah, I told my wife, I said, I'm getting up. Yeah, I knew I was going to be here for that short time. And I said, this is the perfect day. I'm getting up at like 3:30 and I'm driving down there. I'm going to get down there and I'm going to take it at night. I'm going to get the sunrise. I'm going to be down there. And I did. I was down there for probably an hour plus, just freezing. It was so cold, but the dark, then it turned light, then it turned lighter. And I got a couple of good shots. You can't take enough pictures.
No, I know. And then I was so surprised that I was looking at the Earth cams the night before the Super Bowl parade. And so I'm zooming in and it's dark. It's about 2:00 in the morning. And I'm looking at the Earth cam. It's live. And I look down, the Green Eagles banner is there. And I see the Rocky statue. I'm like, I know they didn't move the one from around the corner up the steps. Sly sent his back up to be part of, and it was,
How cool was that?
Oh, perfect. You saw the parade, the pictures. I mean, it was incredible.
And how cool of him to do that. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he understands its place. He understands what it means to fans and to be part of history like that, because who knows if the Birds are going to win it again. So,
true.
I mean, we'll see. They have a good shot at it. But a thing I'm very interested in is everyone watching knows my wife, how she deals with me. How does your wife and your kids deal with you and your passion? See, like, I'm a blinking neon sign for Rocky. Are you more subtle in it, or do you wear it like I do?
I'm probably more subtle. I think I'm not a blinking neon sign. I'm probably more subtle, but it is funny. I think I mentioned when I was in my little submission that one of the greatest things was to be able to go to see a Rocky movie in a theater with my son when Rocky Balboa came out, which was great, to share it. And I've been sharing it. My son can quote back and forth, as I'm sure you and I could probably do it, just like my son and I can do the same thing. And then my daughter, who's not as into it as I am, but she tolerates it. She can quote some things back there as well, but to her chagrin and horror, she knows the movies really well. So this is a cool picture. If I can just comment on that real quick.
I love this.
This was in December. We went down to, I said, let's to Haley, and my son-in-law Gabe was with her. They're married. And we're down there. I said, let's go down. Let's go see the statue. Let's go over to Mighty Mix and let's grab a beer, and then it'll be great. Let's do that. And then I want to stand outside of the Tommy gun fight area and do some stuff. So she's like, okay. So we go down to the statue, and it was a kind of drizzly day, but she says, oh, you know who else would like to come to the statue with Gabe and myself? I'm like, no, who? And she goes, oh, our son. And then shows me her, her sonogram there. That's what she's holding, and tells me at the Rocky statue that she's pregnant.
Come on.
Which was fantastic. And that was just, and she said, I wanted to wait till we were at the Rocky statue because I know what it means to, and I wanted to make this a memorable event. So that's her telling me with my look like, I'm like, wait, what is that? So yeah, that was fantastic.
Oh, what a great moment.
I love that. Now, you said she's married.
Yes.
All right. Now, what's her guy think of Rocky?
Oh, he likes it, but he likes it. He's not. No one is as fanatical as I am about it. No one. No one is. Nobody.
I got
he'll sit there and he'll just be over the like behind me and just go, oh, is this like, he knows it's whatever Rocky is. They don't ask me the wrong one. Just to
right.
It's the obligatory son-in-law bonding moment with father-in-law to try to get in there. And go, I know. I'm the same way. My brother-in-laws and my father-in-law, they were all hunters. I could care less about hunting. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. But I would ask them these questions about, what they're into, and it's right over my head. But that's what you do when you're in a family.
Yeah, that's what you do.
There was a picture that you sent me that we were going to surprise Mike with. You know how we have a wrestling element to our community here. Why don't you
we do.
Introduce this picture, Jerry?
So years ago, I'd a friend of mine, he had I guess doings with some guys who did these kind of sports shows. And he's like, hey, want to come to some of these sports shows? And we got behind, and he's like, hey, there's a famous wrestler going to be here that I think you'll want to see. So I went and saw your favorite guy, Roddy Piper.
Love Roddy. Is my absolute favorite. Love him.
He was so, and there's my son there. My son who's now 32, I think, and he's like 12. So this was a while ago. This is Roddy in his prime, and what a nice guy. How you sit there and you say, "Oh, you don't want to meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed," But he was the most sincere and wonderful guy. Comes out and he's like, "Hey," to my son, he's like, "You know what? The fact your dad took you here, he's a great guy. You always got to listen to your dad, okay?" He was so nice. I was so crushed when he died.
Way too young. Way too young. Did you see the documentary on his life?
I've seen one of them on, I think, Reels. I've seen one.
Oh, it's so good. And he was such a great guy. Yep. He was not Rowdy Piper of Piper's Pit. Like, you loved it when he smashed the coconut in Snooker's head, and he was just such a jerk. But my God, when I would watch him in interviews, I just loved this guy. I really did, and I thought, what a waste to die so young. Heart disease or something he had.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, he had a really bad battle with cancer, and I think it affected everything, and he died.
Okay.
Of a heart attack. So,
okay.
Actually, my daughter Haley, when we were driving up to see her in college, Shippensburg, calls me in the car. I'm driving up, and she's like, "Don't you like that guy, Rowdy Piper?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He just died, I heard. I was like, what? So, and that weird. Those are the weird moments. I remember where she told me that Roddy Piper.
Yeah, it's tough when those people they've affected us so much. Like, I know a lot of people don't always get the wrestling aspect, but if you were a kid in the 70s and you grew up, I mean, I know wrestling has changed now. There's an element to wrestling I don't like or appreciate at all now. It's not what it used to be, but that wrestling from the 70s and the 80s. I loved it. Loved it.
I'll tell you, Mike, super quick on that. The greatest thing ever was when MTV did that War to Settle the Score crossover with the wrestling and Rowdy Piper and Hulk Hogan and all the rock stars. That was the beginning of going crazy. But boy, was I in front of MTV that night. Oh my God.
Right? Totally. And back then, okay, so like last April, I was asked to be part of a thing with the Sly Stallone Shop and all the new wrestlers, right? We took these kids, Make-A-Wish Foundation, and we were at the Rocky statue. Yep. Some of the Eagles were there, the Eagle cheerleaders, some of the dignitaries. Yeah, and so all these wrestlers are there. I didn't know who one of them was. I had no idea. They don't even look like wrestlers.
Who are you guys?
I mean, the physical build of these guys was not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm used to some serious mountains walking around, and these guys didn't look like that at all. I thought, you're the new stars? Why? And then I was watching the WWF, and I was watching the clips online when they played in Philly in Wrestling Philly in April, and I'm like, I'm not getting it. Yeah. Now, but when the stars came out, sure, different story, of course. But the up and comers, I think they got to up their game.
Yeah, you got the B level. That's what you got.
Yeah, exactly. The JV
string.
Yeah.
So the relationship between you and your daughter is clearly special, and I may or may not be partial to father-daughter relationships. She surprised you with the Rocky run.
Yes. Yes, she did.
So tell us about that. And you love Rocky V. And, Rocky V doesn't get a lot of love, and I loved what you said here.
So she said, hey, she goes, for Father's Day, she goes, I'm gonna get you the Rocky run. We're gonna go to the Rocky run. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, oh my God, I'm the runner. I'm like, how am I gonna do this? So we're talking about going, and I said, you know what? If we're going, we're getting dressed up, because we're not just going to go as regular people. So when I seen pictures, everybody was, is either Rockies or that kind of thing. So I'm like, what can I do that'll be recognizable? So I said to her, I go, I'm going to do the whole Tommy Gunn outfit. So I had her help me with her cricket machine. And I mean, we were doing, and I went, believe me, it's hard to find. I couldn't find it, but I went and got this tracksuit that I found online.
That's pretty close.
Fabric painted the sleeves, and we cricketed the name on the back. And I got like a white hat, and I found these shoes on eBay, these old shoes that look like ponies. I painted them up to look like pony sneakers, and we went down there and even had the driving gloves that he wears when he's having his big fight, and we had the white shirt and everything. So it was pretty good. And she went down as Ivan Drago, one of the training outfits,
did she?
You know? Yeah. So it was really great. And people were like, Tommy Gunn got a ton of love that day. People were like, yo, Tommy, hey, I don't hear no bell. They're yelling at me. So yeah, and that's when we went down also the same day.
Look at you reenacting it. That's awesome.
I go to, my daughter took this picture for me, and she doesn't know. I go, here, I'm leaning against the pole, take these pictures. She's like, why? I'm like, just take the picture.
Just do it.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, it's good. So yeah, I'm a big Rocky 5 fan. I really like it. So
I would love to see you. Sorry, Stacy. I would love to see you do. Okay, so Rocky and Tommy Gunn. It's not a real fight, and so you can't do a poster because it wasn't a fight.
Correct.
But what you could do is, what if a boxing historian decided to put together a documentary on Rocky and Tommy Gunn, and they hire you to make the poster for the Tommy Gunn Rocky documentary about what happened in their relationship? That would be awesome.
Interesting. Though, you just gave me an idea, because you would think that George Washington Duke would have been so confident he would have gotten this fight. He may have actually pre-printed posters for it.
Have at it.
And have the fight that never happened.
I got to see that. Right. Exactly. The fight that never happened.
New assignment for you.
You can take some classic image of Rocky that maybe is a little on the rare side, and something with Tommy Gunn. Who knows?
The fight that didn't happen. That's it.
I love Rocky 5. I'm a huge Rocky 5 fan. I've always been I prefer Rocky 5 over Rocky 4. I know I'm in the majority, but I just love the whole concept of it. And I will be first in line to buy one of those posters, baby, because they will look great down here with these two.
Yeah. And I did find that was able to watch at one point that work edition of Rocky 5, which I so like. What a different movie that is.
Oh, yeah.
What a different movie.
It really is. It does add to it. And that's only some of the stuff in the work print. Don't forget, there's miles of other scenes that were shot for Rocky 5. And Stallone has access to it, and he desperately wants to recut it. He really does.
I kind of feel that he won't, because I whenever I see him, like on some interviews I'll see, and he says he hates it. I feel like he doesn't want to go back to it. I don't know. I wish he would.
He told me, he wrote me, and he said he absolutely wants to work on it. He has to get the time. I think we're going to see him do that as he gets older. I think once he starts to slow down a little bit, I mean, going into 79 years old, I think he's going to start doing more behind the camera, continue to do more writing. And I think one of his big things is going to be to kind of repair Rocky 5. I really think we're going to see. Oh, so do I.
That'd be great.
So do I. I really do.
It's funny how people come to Rocky at different times. For us, we got to live it real time. We got to be in the theater when Rocky 2 came out, when Rocky 3 came out, or many years later, like these days, like how, Mike is like a flashing neon sign, and I'm the big Rocky fan here, and you're the big Rocky fan there. And then, we have our children, or we have our spouses who maybe aren't quite as into it. We've heard a lot of stories where spouses or children kind of have that moment where it clicks. And so with your daughter, my question was, when she witnessed that Rocky run and the spirit, and so was sort of like immersed in it, like an immersion moment, do you think that made her, did she say, oh, wow, I get it now? Was there that sort of moment?
I think that maybe not her as much, but I know that she gets why I like it. I think that just bolstered, like, kind of like, look. I think that when we got dressed up, we're going down there, and she's totally cool with doing it. She says, oh, let's do it. I think she was amazed at how many other people were doing it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Kind of like, wow, this is really amazing that everyone is into this. And
there's a culture out there.
Like, see?
Yes.
It's not just me.
Right.
So I think that was a bit of an eye opener of just how many people,
how big it is.
Yeah. And it was insane how many people are down there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you've just been lovely, and you just possess all the things. And I hope I hit everything. Is there anything that we missed that I wanted you to have the opportunity to mention?
3 fun facts. One is just my Rocky Balboa shirt that I have on that I made.
Oh, cool.
I can't see it too well, but I had, again, one of my ideas, and it's this shirt. So it's, I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh, Balboa meats. Yes, you mentioned it.
And that's, I'm like, instead of ground roast and ribeye, let's put everybody's names in. So I have, this is the only one in existence at the moment. I've only printed one. I've worn out a couple of times, so people are like, "Where'd you get that shirt?" So this was just another weird idea. I said to my wife, I'm like, I had this idea. She's like,
awesome idea.
Sounds cool. Yeah. So she goes, so I did it, and there we are. And then 2 more things. It's funny, speaking of my wife, Tornado Tony P.
Yeah,
and her. When I saw him up, one of the last ones, I don't know why it didn't click, but I saw his last name, and I was like, "Hey, you two are related." And I reached out to him on Instagram, and they are. They're both families grew up together. They have the same last name, my wife's maiden name. So it's
no
funny.
Kidding.
Oh, that's funny.
They are literal cousins.
Oh,
so that was
neat. Okay,
that was kind of neat.
That is neat.
One last funny thing is, there's like a guy at my gym. His name is Steve, and we're talking. I was wearing this shirt. And he's, talking about it. Oh, yeah, big Rocky fan. And he's like, I was in Rocky 3. I'm like, oh, no, you weren't. He goes, yeah. He goes, I was. I'm like, where?
Oh,
He
by
says,
the way,
when they're doing the statue and the Lincoln marching band is playing, he's like, I am the guy with the drums, with the sunglasses, who looks at the camera. And I'm like, no, you're not. He goes, yes, I am. Look at it. So, okay. So that was, 30 plus years ago, whatever. So I went home, put it on, and it's him.
It's the guy.
And he had told me, he said, they told us, do not look at that camera. Do not look at it. And they're filming me. And he goes, I turn and look right at the camera. And they kept it in there. So he goes, and you watch it, sunglasses. And he goes, he has a little mustache, I think. But he's like, that's me. And it was.
Is his the drum that Mr. T signed?
I asked him that. And he said, no.
It must have been another kid's. Yeah. Okay.
But when you watch it, that's just funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just
cool.
Crazy stuff. So there we are.
Yeah.
I think we hit on everything. This was, believe me, I was laying in bed awake, like, oh man, I'm sweating this out.
No, it's very. I knew you were going to be great because there's a lot that you have to talk about.
Look at all these pages. Well, there is no way.
I can't help it.
There is no way you were going to be boring. This was wonderful. He's like, thanks, I'm not interesting. I'm like, I got 10 pages proving that you are very interesting.
That just
Come
means
on.
I type a lot.
Very sweet stuff. Yeah.
I definitely wanted people to know more about you and know about your artistic endeavors and your love for this character. And as we always close out, we get 2 questions for every single guest. 1, if you could go back to your 11-year-old self, and what would you say to yourself? Any advice you would give yourself?
Besides buying Apple stock, I would say
seriously, I know.
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid to do what you want to do, and don't be worried about what other people say. Because I think when I was that age, I was not a super confident kid. I was like, when kids are in like grade school in that age, like people grow differently, mature faster. I was not. I was a late bloomer, and I think I was pretty insecure at some things back then. And I would pretty much say, look, just, I like my certain things. I like my comics. I like drawing. I like that. And you just kind of feel somewhat alienated because you're not, just because of what you like, you're not the same as everybody else. So I would say, don't worry about what people think and just continue forward because it's going to be all right. Just continue as you're going. Just stay confident.
And let's try to rectify what you would have said to Sly. You're in an elevator. You got 30 seconds. You're chilled. You're relaxed. You're confident. You're going in between floors.
You're ready.
There's no pressure. What do you say to Sly?
Will you push 4, please? And then I say, look, I just want to thank you for, I know that you probably hear this all the time, but I want to thank you for making this movie that has inspired everybody, including myself, to just be better. Not only the entertainment value that it's given us and how much we love these movies and how much you've influenced besides just the positive attitude, but also just the music and the drive of this movie. This movie is one of the ones that got me interested in classical music and movie soundtracks. This is a huge part of my life, and just thank you for making a movie that we can all get around and just be inspired by, and just take that away with us.
Yes.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. I got to say one last thing. When you just shifted, I just realized what was over your right shoulder. That picture of Drago, that 8x10, the news cover, the magazine. Yeah, right there.
Nice. Oh.
So you sent me a copy of that. I love this, right? I thought, I have nothing upstairs of Rocky. Nothing. Sue and I have a rule. I mean, it's kind of her rule. Everything is down here. And I understand that because it'll be like moss creeping up the stairs. Right? So I have to respect her wishes. However, 2 years ago, I took that picture, I put it in a frame along with a vintage Newsweek that never premiered. I bought it on eBay. It was the cover of Rambo 2 from 85. And I have it in an 8x10 frame in my bathroom that whenever people come over to the house they use. So there's just a picture of Ivan Drago and Rambo. It is my favorite thing in the house, and my wife loves it. And I just want to tell you, I think about you every time I go to the bathroom.
That's a good thing, I think.
It's a wonderful thing. I spend a lot of time in there reading.
You know what, Mike? You had a letter before we let him go, you had a letter you wanted to read.
I did. And I'm just gonna read a little bit here. Hey, Mike, I hope you enjoy this poster. Really interested in your take on it, as it was another labor of love that I always wanted to do. I had seen other Rocky 2 posters, but everyone takes the easy way out, where they would either use photos of the movie itself, which technically wouldn't have been possible. And I wanted to get that out there because you believe this. This is what you feel in your heart. And that's why I just love that so much. Then you go on to say, I wanted these posters to have the period correct 79 promotional photos of Stallone and Weathers from Rocky 2. I wanted to at least try to correctly show authenticity, like the fight date as Thanksgiving of 76, adding period correct bicentennial logos, WPVIA and Spectrum logos, and weathering to give it that authentic look and feel. Now, you had just mentioned that, but I didn't know if you were going to mention that, but I really love this because it just captures your passion for this character. And that's why a guy like you, I think, is so valuable in the Rocky bubble. So from all of us here, I really want to thank you for coming on the show today, buddy. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. This was fantastic. I never thought I would come on the show. This it's wonderful. I love it.
You were wonderful. Yeah.
Jerry, you're a great guy. I hope to talk to you and see you again. We got to get together in Philly for a coffee.
Yes.
Absolutely. Maybe a beer up at Mighty Mix. And until we see you again, keep punching.
Keep punching, my dear.
See you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye.
What a great guy he is, right?
Yeah, a sweetheart. He possesses all the things.
He really is.
And he's my point from earlier, he's his Rocky point. Exactly. Yeah. You be the best of what you're most good at, what you have the greatest aptitude for. If you're going to go in there, you be the best at it, be the most valuable. So you can't get laid off. You can't be let go because you're too valuable. But also, it's also his passion. And, the coloring book and the posters, like, it's exactly what my dad said. Like, you do it. It's paycheck or no paycheck. You can't let go of the things you love most because it pays dividends in other ways.
Right.
And so he's proving both of those things. So Jerry's lovely, lovely guest. Yeah.
I think he's providing a great service for himself. For fans and himself in this Rocky bubble, because fans love this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I hope more people seek him out and buy some of his stuff, because it's brilliant. I have it. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he didn't send it to me, I would have bought it. So
right.
And I plan on buying more stuff to put down here. As we know, I don't have enough.
I know you have that whole big wall with all that space. Oh yeah, you don't have it. No. You're going to the ceiling, I guess. I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know what I'm doing. I got a little room in the bathroom, I think.
Oh gosh, maybe your personal bedroom. I don't know what you're gonna do.
I don't know either. I got to figure it out.
Anyway, darling, well, a very lovely 125. And just once again, to everybody who reached out during this very difficult week, you guys were the proof in the pudding of some very valuable lessons that my dad taught me my whole life. You guys proved that at a very, very critical time. And I just want to thank you for that. Michael, Where in the world can people find you?
I am over on TikTok, where I've been getting an awful lot of love lately. They used to beat me up pretty good, but now I'm getting a lot of love over on TikTok. So the Old Philly Film Tour, Instagram, the Old Philly Film Tour. That's where I do most of my posting. I do a little bit on Facebook, not much, but I'm there. I wrote a little book called
Cue the Rock music.
That's all right. It's all right. Doesn't matter. Cue the Rocky music. That's right. Which I'm actually writing the sequel to now, which is I'm going along with. It's really coming along quite well. So yeah, you can get that wherever they sell books. And there's a little movie about my life called The Pretender. The Dream is Real, people, by the great Jimmy Toscano. Where can we find you?
I am over on Instagram at Had Me at Yo, as well as The Rocky Files, and on Facebook at The Rocky Files Podcast.
Boom.
That's probably the smoothest I've ever said it.
Smooth.
Smooth. All right, darling.
We're out of
Until
here.
next week.
Keep punching, buddy.
Keep punching.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
buddy.